everyone.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diverse Beats podcast. Thank you very much for joining us. We are so excited today that we have got a very special guest. So we have got gold-selling album producer and former BBC Extra, Scottie B. So, Scottie, how are you doing?
Hello, you're right.
Hello. Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we promise it will be nice and chilled, so no need to stress. So I guess kind of the first place to start would be if you could just kind of tell us a bit about your career. Was music always something that you knew you would get into, and how has it kind of developed to be able to get the amazing opportunities that you've had so far?
It wasn't. It was actually sports.
Okay.
I was doing sports when I was younger. I was doing it like 6 days a week. And then what happened? One of my friends in school was like they had decks. He wasn't really DJing out and stuff. So I was just like, oh, like just generally interested. I was like, oh, let me. He actually lent me one of his turntables, and then my other friend who had decks as well lent me his mixer. So like on one of the half terms, it was only for like a week. So he was like, yeah, just borrow it. So I had one turntable, had a mixer, and then I had a Discman. So I was trying to mix the record with the Discman, but then obviously I can only move the record kind of thing. So
Yeah.
that's how it started. I liked it, and then just kind of got into it from there.
Yeah.
And then what was that? I was like 14 or something like that. And then fast forward like 2 years, I got a booking. Actually, how did that happen? I'm trying to remember now. How did that happen? Oh yeah, no, tell a lie. Sorry. So yeah, obviously that happened, but then in between that time, I was doing like school parties and house parties, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, just kind of getting into it, and then I did my first booking. But this is obviously while still doing sports and stuff. And then after that first booking, like the feeling I got was like, yeah, I don't want to be training in the cold and doing all of that kind of stuff. But like,
Yeah.
obviously, I love doing the sports, but just the excitement and the feeling I had for when I did my first club set and the reaction and stuff, I was just like, yeah, I want to do this. So yeah, kind of just started from there and then just went on really.
Just spiraled out. And how have you kind of built those networking opportunities? Was it through friends, or was it through just kind of social media, or just word of mouth?
Definitely wasn't
I know
social
it's
media those days. To be honest, it was a lot of it initially was pirate radio, and then you just meet people through that, and then the main initial, I guess, break would be when I was with a company called Twice as Nice.
Mm.
Like you could, well, it was a super brand at the time, which doesn't really exist anymore. I think the closest thing you'll have is Ministry of Sound, but obviously back then you had so many different brands, whereas nowadays, like I said, there isn't many, if any.
Yeah.
So I got a mix to them through DJ Ironic, big up Ironic.
Yeah.
So I got a mix to them, and they liked it, and then yeah, it just started from there. So then obviously by playing for those events, it just kind of opened doors in different places, and obviously different people hear you. You start playing with like more elite DJs and stuff like that, so your name starts to slowly go around. And then
Yeah.
the things with music in general, but especially DJing, it's all about definitely who you know, but then it's also like networking. So even if like I'm not really a talker like that, but then even if you're out DJing and then people notice you, then it just goes from there. Obviously conversations start, and then you came with just this one booking, and it's like all of a sudden two people like, yo, I've got this event, oh, I've got this event, and then now I've walked away with two more. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of just all started like that, really.
Yeah, brilliant. It's that kind of snowball effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you to explain everything. Serhat, do you have anything to ask?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would like to ask Scotty, first of all, welcome to our podcast, bro. I've known you for a very long time, so it's lovely to have you here, and it's a very nice gesture of yours to join our podcast. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
So I'm asking the third question, right?
Ask whatever you like. You do you.
Cool. Basically, as a radio presenter for Choice FM and BBC One Extra, what should artists be doing to ensure their music is being heard by the right people and getting the airplay?
Uh, that's a tough one because I mean, obviously, the thing is, first of all, when I did One Extras, I just with One Extra was a few pilots I did there. I did one show, but my main thing was on Choice at the time, which is obviously now Capital Extra. Um, Things are different. It's hard to explain and it's hard to pinpoint because back in those days, you had a lot more DJs had specialist shows.
Yeah.
So obviously before, you had the mainstream radio, and then obviously you had pirates, and pirates obviously you had a bunch of DJs, and like they'd all be playing exclusives, or you know you could even go on there with your friends and play whatever you wanted. With the mainstream, you had obviously daytime radio, which has always been playlisted, and then from I think those days it was probably like from six, seven maybe. It was just specialist DJs. So you'd have like I don't know, hip hop DJ, a jungle DJ, and they literally play in those specific things. So, say for example, if you're a house DJ, whoever's the house specialist, you get your tune to them. You know what I mean? And in those days, it was you try and obviously contact them. However you contact them, give them your tune, they play it, and there you go. But they were also still, I guess, actively going out to record shops and searching for the new stuff, and obviously being sent things as well. But you know, they were actual DJs out there doing their thing. Whereas nowadays it's a bit more. Obviously, you've got like radio pluggers and stuff like that. But then, so you're basically paying someone to now go to the radio and say, right, these are the tracks we have. I guess, what do you think, or how much is it to play it, or this kind of stuff. But then the other problem is there's not many specialist shows, if any. And the shows they have, they're at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. It's like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So now it's kind of like if you're not on the playlist, or you don't have a friend, or you don't have some kind of in, then it's a lot more difficult now. I mean, I still, obviously there's people I know that are on there, that can kind of do their thing. So I'll send my songs to them because I just know them, and obviously it's not guaranteed they'll play it, but more time they probably at least play it once if they like it. But then I'm fortunate that way because obviously I'm in the industry and I know, X amount of DJs. But for just like general artists, it's difficult. But then, like you say, like you have social media, you have the internet, you have so many things now where you don't really need radio like that. And also, if your track's blowing up on, say, I don't know, YouTube or TikTok or wherever, it's kind of like the mainstream, whether it's playlist or not, has to kind of take, it has to pay attention and be like, why are we not playing this song, or who's this song by, or do you know what I mean? But then there's also that aspect where it's like, okay, you don't have nothing, you haven't hired a radio plug or done any of that kind of stuff. You've just put your tune out there and it's just connected somehow. And then now they're coming to you and it's like, yeah, we want to play your song, or do you know what I mean? So there's loads of different ways, but especially nowadays, there's not really one specific way of how to get it onto radio. There's various ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
From my experience, anyway.
Yeah, no, I think I would agree, definitely. And I think kind of, as we were saying earlier, with social media, there's kind of a lot more of an opportunity, let's say, with people, like us, radio plugin, we can find an artist on, say, Instagram or SoundCloud or anywhere, and we can just contact them directly. We're not sending them a letter and waiting for the reply kind of thing. So yeah, there's definitely more avenues, I guess, and it's about kind of finding those specialists and those credible radio stations to play the track. Perfect. Thank you very much. Michael, did you have anything you wanted to ask?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like my question's a bit more personal in regards to the kind of span of your career and things. I just wanted to know, what was your toughest transitional point as a DJ in your career? Because obviously you went to different platforms to kind of get your name out there and get yourself about. But was there a point where you kind of felt like stuck, or you had to adapt in any certain way?
All the time. To be honest, there's been various ones. I mean, for example, when I started, I was it was just house and garage. That's all I played.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So when garage basically started to die out, um, obviously there was a few house events, but then that kind of morphed more into funky and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
then by then it was, especially in those days, it was like, obviously if you're a house DJ, you're a house DJ, you're in that scene, and do you know what I mean? And obviously
Yeah.
where I was more garage but still playing house, it was like it was cool, but then I wasn't in the scene like that. If anything, it'd have been more of a, you could call me a garage DJ basically. So then when that started to kind of go down, by then I'd been in it for probably like 4 or 5 years. And then my manager at the time was like, okay, because they knew I played everything. Because obviously, again, with learning and practicing, like my mum had records at home and stuff. So in the house, like before I even bought my first records, I had like soul, rare groove, reggae, all that kind of stuff. So I was practicing with it. I already listened to it, so I knew how to play it. It's just when I went out, I just obviously never played it. So it was like, well, this scene's going this way, so what do you want to do? Like, do you want to stick with it, and I can get you work, but it's not going to be as much, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Or you can play everything and you get more work and potentially obviously more opportunity. So I was like, well, I just love DJing. I'm not really bothered too much what I play. I just love to play, kind of thing. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's that was one kind of that was the first one, I'd say, the first main transition or difficult period, because like I said, as much as I had stuff at home, I didn't have the tracks. So I had to literally start going out to the record store. And obviously them days you maybe had like 2 floors, so upstairs was hip hop or downstairs
Yeah.
was, or just, so now I'm on both floors trying to work out, all right, what do I need, what do I get.
Hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
and obviously it was more expensive because now I'm buying other styles of music as well as the house and the garage. So yeah, that was, I guess, the first um, kind of difficult transition period. And then I guess as you go along, it's just, I guess it goes with your goals. So
Yeah.
you initially obviously start out with, right, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I remember finding I can't remember how long ago it was, but I remember finding a piece of paper or some kind of note, and I think it was like either an old bio or interview or something I did, and I said like, oh, one of my goals is like I want to play in Iron Apple. But then by the time I read it, I had a residency there. I've got posters and stuff. I was just
Mad.
like, I
Mad.
was like, when did I write this? Do you know what I mean? But then I had to really start to think back, and I was like, it's true, because obviously coming up, obviously especially in the garage days, Napa was like huge. That was like the place to be, kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I started to think back. I was like, yo, this is what I wanted, kind of thing. But then because of how things happen, and it was like a snowball effect. It was like it wasn't even on my radar that I've actually ticked off one of the things I actually said I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now it's like I'm doing it just normally on a regular. Now my focus is like, I want to, do compilations, or I want to produce, or I want to fly to this country or that country. It's not even just thinking about this one specific place anymore.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that was part of the whole opening up, playing everything, and just seeing like, oh, this country likes that, or that country likes that, or seeing other DJs fly to wherever. So yeah, I think every time, I guess, you level up, like it's always, a process of like, okay, now I'm here, what do I need to do, how do I need to adapt? So say like where we are now, the whole social media thing,
Hmm.
how do you adapt to that, how do you use it to your advantage? Or you know it's always something that you can improve on, I guess.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely. Jess, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think that brings up a really good point that we've touched upon in past podcasts about artists, continually being consistent in educating themselves about the current sphere where music's going. And I think you've always got to be ahead of your game. One thing I'd actually like to ask is, you mentioned earlier when you first got into the scene that that you had that initial exciting feeling when you started playing to audiences. And do you still get that feeling now?
I wouldn't say I get an excited. You know what? It depends where I am, because
Mhm.
obviously, if it's a big show, then I get excited, and like if it's at least like say I don't know, 5,000, 6,000 people upwards,
How about
then
Northern
yes,
Cyprus? How about Northern Cyprus? Does that excite you?
yeah, yeah. You know, those kind of when it's the super club and those kind of venues, of course. Always I get, you know, I have. It's more of a feeling of like, right, let me get out there and like, let's have fun, because the way um, nightlife has gone over the years, and this is at first I thought it was like specific to different regions, but then the more I travel, it's literally most places where clubs have become more, I guess, VIP.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the time for me as a DJ who actually likes to actually DJ and make people dance and jump up and go crazy, where it's now, oh, posing on your phone or just literally standing looking cool, or girls like get done up, but they don't actually want to get sweaty and dance. You know what I mean? They just want to sit there and look nice. Guys just want to come in and just cool. Do you see what I'm saying? Like where
Yeah.
it's that is kind of more of a frustration for me, because my whole thing, like say, will tell you, like I'm all about party and just doing stuff to make people go crazy and dance. Or you know, if girls are sitting down, it's like cool. Why they sitting down? All right, let me try this, and then they'll get up and dance. Same with guys or whatever.
Yeah.
But where that's kind of like the norm now, or it's become the norm in a lot of places, it's not really an excitement. It's more, this is my job, and it's like cool. And more than, like I said, 2, 3, 4,000 people, etc. More time in those kind of environments. It's too many people to just happen. But then when it only takes for 50 people, 100 people to start jumping up for then to that spread, and then all of a sudden the whole crowd is going crazy, you know. So it's there's definitely more excitement with those, but when you've done it for so long, um, yeah, you just kind of, yeah, some events are better than others, but you kind of just go with the flow, really.
Yeah. No, that's interesting because I mean, personally, like I'm still at uni and me and all my friends, I completely agree. I think that whole sphere of clubbing where it's all about, you know, how you look and everything is so boring. And
Yeah.
we actually, I feel like that really perpetuates London at the moment. And we always avoid going to London to go out. We go more underground places in terms of like Birmingham, Leeds, Newcastle, because it's still got that authenticity and that fun factor about it.
That
Um,
was one of my main, I used to love when I started doing up and down the country. That was, I used to love it because you go out of town and it's like that whole, like you said, that whole vibe in a lot of places on a party, even if it's
yeah.
just, oh, they're getting drunk, but at least when they're drunk, then they just want to go crazy. Do you see what I'm saying? So that whole energy is still there outside of London. It's in a few places in London, but not really in the main places. But yeah, that's definitely I'd say it's a lot harder now, especially because again, as much as the clubs have changed, the music's changed as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, where the music's changed, it's like it's slower, or like it's, I can't even say it's too hard, but then for example, just like visually, like when you're looking at a crowd and like you know what certain tracks do or how the tracks are made. Like I know, for example, exactly what to play to make a group of say girls stand up and dance. Do you know what I mean? I know what the guys over there might get excited by. Do you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
when you know that, it's then becomes harder as time goes on, because like you're saying, you're at uni, for example. So uni uni ravers will like a particular type of music that gets them excited, but then it probably only get them excited for like 10 minutes, and that's mainly the guys, whereas the girls are a bit more like they want other things, but then the majority of people might just be like, oh, this isn't the in thing, or it's not cool or whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? So then it becomes a whole problem of like, all right, how do I make it, how do I connect everything to make everyone have a good time? But then that's where, you know, things are at the moment. So yeah, you just kind of play to where you are, but I definitely find, like you said, a lot of the time out of town, it's still very much um, everyone wants to party.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think just kind of touching on the fact you kind of mentioned about how a lot of the girls kind of want to get dressed up and yeah, they're more interested in what they look like rather than kind of where they're going and things like that. We talk a lot about branding on the podcast now. Got to mention it, sorry if it embarrasses you, but obviously you've got your own clothing line. So if you could tell us a bit about that, how did that come about?
I've actually got two. To be fair, I've tried. I mean, all right. So first of all, the first one, um, the angry DJ one, that was that literally just started off from me cussing in the car on the way home from an event. That's literally how it started. I won't really say. I don't know. Can I swear on this? I don't know. I'll just keep it clean. But yeah, I said a few things in the car, and I said to my boy, I said, right, because he had a he was doing t-shirts himself. He had his own brand, so I was like, right, I want you to print this on the front. I want you to print "I'm not your iPod" on the front, and then there's another thing on the back which I won't say.
I
But yeah,
still got
I
that
said,
T-shirt. I still got that T-shirt.
yeah, and I think Megan got the. So yeah, that's how that started, and it just spiraled from there because obviously, as a DJ and even other DJs that saw it, it was like they had their experiences and so on and so forth. So it became like that. But then after a while, again, social media came up, and then we could see when we were posting, I don't know, a t-shirt or a jacket or something, we'd get like, I don't know, 50 likes, 40 likes, something like that. People messaging us, but they all wanted it for free. So it was like sometimes obviously if you're well known, it kind of makes sense because you're gonna wear it, people's gonna see it, etc. etc. You know how business works. But then you got to the point where I'm like, I can't give out everything for free, But then with social media, we then started to take it to the point of, okay, we've got the clothing line, but then the same slogans, let's put it on like pictures, obviously memes and stuff like that. And then the memes are now getting like thousands of likes, hundreds of likes, and we're like, we could have two memes up, but then in the middle one will be a picture of clothing, and then we have like 1,040 or 50,000 likes, and it's kind of like it isn't making sense. So, I mean, it's there, but it's one of those ones where it's kind of like it's especially now with everything going on, there's nothing to really throw at it financially to kind of push it out there properly. And like I said, because it was more, it was kind of spur of the moment, but also something for DJs to wear as well. So yeah, there's that, and then there was another one I wanted to start, which is Dope and Clean, which is what I'm wearing now. But then, yeah, I had to put that on hold because of the whole pandemic and everything. So again, it's a lot goes into to the whole t-shirt thing, depending on obviously how you want to do it. But yeah, that's kind of how that started, really.
Amazing. Well, we've given you some free promo, so now people will go buy it.
Speaking of the whole COVID restrictions and everything, how would you say the whole sudden change has altered your creative processes as an artist? Like, are there any positives which have come out of this period of time?
Yeah, I've got a break. I think it's weird because I'm the kind of person that I've just always working. So anywhere, like I've been DJing like 20 years now. So like everywhere I've been, I guess you could call it a holiday, but I've got a set wherever I am to pay for everything, for example. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm still working. So in that whole time, I've never been. When everything first got locked down, first month, it was frustrating because it's like, oh, how do I pay for this? How do I do that, etc., etc. But then I was like, for the first time, everyone's literally in the same position. There isn't person up here, this person down here, this is a bedroom DJ, this is a radio. Everyone is on the same playing field. So there was that, and then it was like, well, obviously we didn't know exactly how long it's going to be like just take a break. And I was ill because I had it in the early stage. I had it in like when we first locked down in March. So for like a month, I just didn't do anything to do with music anyway. And I didn't even feel like I wanted to. I didn't want to make music. I didn't want to get on the decks or anything. I didn't want to do anything. And then as it's gone on, I've done bits and pieces, but I've just kind of just been just chilling because, like I said, I've just never done that.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's a positive because everyone will always tell you, no matter what you do in life, whatever job, whatever you do, you always need a break at some point. And like I said, I've never had that break because just my mind just wouldn't rest in the sense of if I was sitting on a beach somewhere, all I'd be thinking is like either something to do with music or what bill has to be paid or whatever else is going on. And I'm like, why am I here? I need to, okay, maybe a day, maybe 2 days, but I need to get back because I need to do this and I need to do that. Do you know what I mean? That would literally be my mindset. Whereas with this whole thing, like I said, no one can do anything. So
Yeah.
I can't, no one can actively work to make money to pay for anything or go anywhere. So I'm like, there's no stress. I can literally just clear my mind and just chill out. So I'd say that's a big positive for me anyway.
Scotty,
Yeah.
Scotty,
I think.
question.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
No, you go. That's
Ah,
fine.
okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question, I've been asking this to you for years. I mean, when I say years, I mean years. How did you come about with your mixing technique and with all these tips and tricks that you haven't taught me yet? Go on. I'll put you on the spot now. You have to answer me. Go on.
It's not really one thing. I mean, so my whole thing when I started, I looked at who I would class as the best. So initially, when it was House and Garage, it would be like Heartless Crew. Obviously, we're from North London, all of us. So they were here. They still are. Like, so I was just like, yo, these guys are sick. And then obviously you had EZ, like, yo, EZ sick kind of thing. So when I'm looking at Heartless, I'm listening to Fonty and I'm hearing the stuff he's doing, like mixing hip hop and R&B with garage or bashment with garage and stuff like that. And I'm hearing the ideas and what he's doing. I'm like, no one else is doing this. This sounds sick. So, for example, that was one of the first things I was like, okay, he's doing this, so I'm not going to copy him. But if he's using, let's just say, this slow jam song, I'm going to try and find another slow jam song and then mix it with a different garage tune and basically try and make it my own. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, looking at what he's doing, I'm like, I like that. So how do I take that and make it better, kind of thing? Same thing with EZ. I'm seeing how he plays and he's cutting and chopping. I'm like, yo, this is sick. So again, how do I take that, make it my own, but then incorporate it from what I've also seen Heartless Crew do? Do you see what I'm saying? So then that's how it kind of started there. And then obviously with practice and just doing certain things, it was all trial and error. And then you naturally just get your own style. Then obviously when I started playing everything, I saw Shorty Bits play and CLK play, and they were the first like playing hip hop and R&B that weren't only just mixing, but they were scratching and doing loops and doing stuff. And I was just like, yo, this is sick. I'm like, I want to know how to do that. So, but at the time I was still mainly playing garage. So I don't even know if you remember those days, but I was doing those kind of things, but with garage. So I'm doing like scratching and certain hip hop things, but with house and garage kind of things, you know what I mean? So then it was more that's bringing over, I guess, that style into the hip hop style and then mixing it all together. But then, like I said, it's just over time you build up, I guess, different responses and receptors, and you see how things work, and you like certain things or you don't. It's just things you put together. I can't say I didn't sit here and be like, all right, I want to mix like this. It was just I saw what I liked and then I just tried to make it my own, which I think I've done. in the sense of, you know, people always tell me, oh, you have your own style. They'll always try and compare me to different people. Like I get compared a lot to Easy, but then when when I see him play, it's kind of like we literally don't play the same. But then I guess it's because of his technical ability, and then people see the things I do. It's like I guess that's the closest they can, you know, that's the comparison there, which is
Yeah.
amazing. He's incredible. So, yeah, like I said, it's about, you know, implementing your own style and doing what you want. Because I think nowadays, especially, like we live in a society where everyone just wants to copy and paste everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even where I've started doing a few classes and stuff over the years, I've told people like, cool, you like doing what that person did, but don't copy that mix. You know, I'll be able to, like, I'm sure Sego will tell you, I've had people literally send me stuff, or I've seen things where they've literally tried to copy exactly what I've done, and I'm kind of like, why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you like take something and then I see that you're trying to do something else with it. Do you know what I mean? But to literally take, you know, A and keep it as A, not even like make it A plus or A plus plus or something. So, yeah, it's just yeah, it's just, I guess, a thing that's happened over time. But those three or four people were like my first influences, and then obviously as time went on, you know, I saw like Kid Capri or Jazzy Jeff and the stuff they do,
Yeah.
and then even more my mind was blown. So I'm like, all right, how do I now add that into what I do? Because for example, States and UK and Europe, everywhere plays different.
Yeah.
Do you know, like some places play quicker than others, some places they let the tune play, some places it's just, you know, basic mixing, others they add a bit of cutting. Like there's so many different things. So my thing is like, I want to be able to do all of it to a good level, but then make it interesting for the consumer. So
Yeah.
like we were saying earlier, it's like I want to make people party and stuff like that. So as much as I'm playing the tunes you like, I'm making sure I'm doing it with like skill and actual DJing, and you're actually like, whoa, this, you're actually seeing how it's meant to be done. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
watching, I don't know, like Ronaldinho or something do play football, but he's actually doing it with like skill and flair, and it's like, yo, this guy's, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the closest I could kind of say. It's like when you used to watch Brazil play, you'd always want to watch Brazil, and even if you didn't like support them or you weren't Brazil, you'd always want to watch them play because it's like just how they play. It's just great to watch. Do you know what I mean? So
Definitely.
I think
We've got 2
I
minutes
just
left.
wanna-
Yeah, we've got 2 minutes left for the podcast. We're just gonna end in 2 minutes. Sorry to cut you short, bro. But yeah,
It's cool.
yeah, I would like to say thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure having you here. And I'll definitely give
Thank
you a call
you.
shortly to talk about other stuff as well in about 10, 15 minutes if you're free. But
Yeah,
I'll pass it back to Nicole.
Yeah, no, as Serhat said, thank you ever so much for being part of the podcast and for joining us. I know that our artists and listeners would really, really appreciate it as well. And you've definitely given them some great insight. So we'll make sure all your links are in our description box as well. And yeah, so thank you everybody for listening and have a great week.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care. See you guys.